Alright everyone, we're back with some more casual build breakdowns. It's been a while since we've done one of these chats about a build that I've been using, that I've been absolutely destroying, does bits in Grandmaster Nightfalls, endgame content, absolute cakewalk and a ton of content, and you know, I just want to break it down, show you what's going on, and you know, have a little bit of a chat with you all about it. So this thing is all based on a Prismatic Warlock build which just has a ton of viability. It's got pretty much every single anti-champion capability going, from unstoppable, anti-barrier, overload champions. Some of this is down to the artifact in terms of the anti-barrier pulse rifle mod and the unstoppable sidearm mod, as well as the overload sword mod. So you have a ton of interchangeability there in terms of, you know, some of the weapons that you may want to use depending on what champions are coming at you in any type of content. But the main thing that we are working around here is just the constant ability uptime, and with prismatic builds, especially on Warlock, then that is really easy, but it is even made more easier thanks to the combination of Nezarec Sin along with any of your favourite void weapons. Now Nezarec Sin, for those that don't know, then it comes with the Abyssal Extractors perk, whereby void damage kills increase ability energy recharge rate. Now I believe that this is a 300% increase in the ability recharge rate whilst that perk is active, and it's just absolute god tier. I mean, this thing has been around since day dot, since the beginning of Destiny 2, and it is pretty much quintessential Warlock 101. If you're using any void weapon and you want rapid abilities, then this thing is absolutely S tier, S plus tier. You should be using it. Now unfortunately in the most recent patch, then Graviton Lance did get a little bit of a sideswipe in terms of a little bit of a nerf, which has been apparently unintended. So the fire rate of Graviton Lance isn't hitting as hard as it should be, so you can technically move this one out, but I think Graviton Lance and or even Collective Obligation have perfect synergy in this build. Obviously Collective Obligation is going to allow you to leech any of them void debuffs from enemies. With this Warlock one, you've pretty much only got Weaken going, because that's really the only one that you can get going in your Prismatic builds, but Weaken's going to give you a 15% debuff to targets. You're also going to be able to activate the Void Leech ability, which is going to give you a 25% damage boost, so it's absolutely a deadly combination and will absolutely tear through a ton of enemies. And if you've got the volatile rounds going from your facet of... which one is it? I don't remember. Facet of Bravery. There we go. So defeating targets with grenade final blows will grant you volatile rounds to your void weapons. So Collective Obligation, Graviton Lance are going to be absolutely deadly there. Obviously Graviton Lance is going to give you that black hole and the void explosions from that as well, and they're just going to absolutely chain. And in this setup, because we're wanting to get our abilities back as quickly as possible with that combination of Nezarec Sin and your favourite void weapon of choice, then I don't think you can go much further than the Vortex Grenade. Obviously this is kind of centered around a little bit of a void build, but the Vortex Grenade has that real good area of effect damage. It also pulls targets towards it, so it's going to give you more viability in dealing a ton of damage to a ton of enemies. And then if you pair that with the Facet of Dominance, then it's also going to weaken targets, and if you're using that Collective Obligation, you're going to be able to leech that and essentially spread it around, spread all that weakened goodness to literally everything nearby, and you know, just keep a good chain of constant ability uptime. Now in terms of where else you can go with this, then obviously the Facet of Bravery is also going to give you unraveling rounds on powered melee final blows to your strand weapons. Now you can't really look much further than the Arcane Needle in terms of the Prismatic Warlock, mainly because of the free melee abilities that it gives you in terms of the charges for it, but it also unravels targets as well, so you're going to get basically doubling down of the unraveling rounds on your strand weapons. And if you combine that with the Call, which is basically everyone's favourite weapon at the minute, if you've crafted it, then I've gone for Lead from Gold with Vorpal Weapon. Just does absolute bits to champions and higher health yellow bar enemies. Just an absolutely perfect weapon. Chuck in a backup mag and this thing is gonna go to Pound Town for you, especially with that combination of top tier prismatic fragments. In terms of where else I'm going with this build, then we're going to obviously build into that constant grenade and melee ability uptime, but you really want to look at getting your Transcendence ability going as well. And I think the combination of the Bleak Watcher along with the Weaver's Call, whereby when you're using your class ability you're going to get Fredlings, Bleak Watcher is going to give you that stasis turret. Because you're going to have tons of uptime on that grenade ability, you're going to be able to hold that grenade, chuck it out, freeze everything. That's going to give you a massively boosted amount of darkness transcendence energy. And then if you combine that with the Facet of Balance, then rapidly defeating targets with light damage grants melee energy, rapidly defeating targets with darkness damage grants grenade energy. This just all works back into Nezarec's Sin, and with that void boosted damage from your favourite void weapon, you're going to be able to get rapid Transcendence light energy as well, and be able to pop that Transcendence as often as possible. Now in terms of the rest of the mods, then fragments wise, Facet of Dawn is going to give you that Radiant, which is going to give you another nice damage boost on top of your void weapon surges, which you should be running with triple on your legs. Then you're going to be getting a 22% damage boost from that, 25% damage boost from Radiance. If you've got Collective Obligation going, you're going to get that 25% damage boost from that, just absolutely shredding through absolutely everything in no matter the level of content that you're basically going to be going. And then on top of that, the Facet of Devotion is going to give you bonus light Transcendence energy on defeating targets that are afflicted by stasis or strand debuffs. Now we've got tons of stasis or strand debuffs going on here. We've got the Unraveling rounds, we've got the Unravel from your Arcane Needle, and we've also got the Slow and Freeze from the Bleak Watch turret. This is just basically just a constant chain of ability uptime, everything going on. You're gonna, just deleting everything. In terms of survivability, then obviously you're gonna want to be running a high resilience stat. 100 is best for that 30% damage resistance, but also the Facet of Protection, that's gonna give you a base 15% damage resistance when you are just roaming around and you're surrounded by enemies, and this will be boosted up to a 32% damage resistance, which does stack with the base resilience. So when your Transcendence boosted up to 32%, it's going to give you a really good, worthwhile damage resistance, which, Facet of Protection is basically just an absolute must in any prismatic build. And in terms of the super, then obviously Nezarec Sin does actually boost your super cooldown as well. And in terms of Warlock, then I think Song of Flame really is a good one. You're not really going to be getting too much in terms of its viability in terms of the scorching rounds because of the nature of the strand and void weapons that we're using, but it does absolute bits. You're going to be creating some ignitions, and it's just really good as a roaming super to pop pretty much willy-nilly as and when you've got it. Now in terms of the rest of the weapons, then like I say, Overlord Sword, I've got a Slammer which has Cold Steel, so technically you don't even need to use the Overlord Sword, as Cold Steel will apply stacks of slow to nearby enemies, so that'll stun Overlord champions as it is. But you can basically put in what you want, and if you are running that Song of Flame, then Briar's Contempt or even Apex Predator going to be really good at getting that bonus scorch damage from that. Now in terms of the rest of the mods on your armour, then you want to look at getting a Void Siphon going. I think that really is a must, and if you can possibly get in a Ashes to Assets or even a hands-on mod to get bonus super energy on grenade or melee kills, then that is going to be a really good choice. In terms of other mods on your arms, then Firepower, that's going to be able to create Orbs of Power. That's going to give you that boosted ability to get Void Weapon Surge. It's going to give you that ability to get your super cooldowns even quicker. I just pretty much always run Double Bomber and Time Dilation. Time Dilation giving you a longer ability to have your weapon surge is active, and then Bomber, because you're a Warlock, you're going to be popping your rifts, you're going to be using that Phoenix Dive if that's the one you've chosen, and that's going to give you bonus grenade energy cooldown as such. Now for the rest of the artifact mods in this one, then Transference, really good, that's going to give you that extra bonus to your Transcendence ability. Shield Crush is a really nice one, which is going to allow you to boost your grenade recharge rate and also increase its damage. I think that's only about a 10% damage increase, but any damage increase is a bonus, and because we're going to be pretty much always Radiant with them constant melee ability uptimes, then it really is a worthwhile pick. Radiant Orbs as well, that's always going to work into that Shield Crush, and then Threaded Blast, you know, you're going to be able to create basically them strand nukes on destroying your tangles with your strand weapons of choice. Winning Hand, also a great one, that's going to give you that extra AoE damage on defeating enemies with dealer's choice weapons. Obviously the Call is basically the favourite one to use with that one. So really this build is just all about, you know, chaining that ability uptime, getting everything going with the combination of Nezarec Sin, your favourite void weapon, whether that is Graviton Lance, whether that is Collective Obligation or whatever else void weapon wise you want to use. Obviously we've got the new Combat Bow, which I think does have a ton of viability, maybe not on the Warlock, but maybe one that we're going to look at soon on the Hunter. All in all, a great little build. This thing's going to carry you through a ton of content. Let me know what you think about this video. We're going to start chucking out a few more of these casual build breakdowns again, and I just like to just sit down, chat about Destiny 2 and, you know, the crazy goodness that I come up with. Hopefully the gameplay in the background has been up to par and you've enjoyed this little bit of a chat. Let me know down in the comments what you think, what you've been enjoying using recently with any of your favourite prismatic builds. And as always, thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate everyone that sticks around, watches these videos. It just means a lot, and you know, I don't generally do this in terms of, you know, just trying to max out views and whatnot. Like, I just generally do enjoy playing Destiny 2 and sharing the crazy goodness that I come up with. That being said, if you do want to see more, then obviously subscribe so that you get notified next time when I come up with any of these videos. Thank you very much for watching, everybody, and if you want some more Destiny 2 content, check out this video next.